Welcome to Statute Stories. If you're looking to understand the law in a fun and engaging way, then you are at the right place. In this video, we will discuss sections 128 to 130 of the Pakistan Penal Code, PPC. So let's get started. Section 120A. Criminal Conspiracy, Agreement to Commit Illegal Acts. This section explains that a criminal conspiracy occurs when two or more people agree to the following: do something illegal, or do something legal using illegal methods. For this agreement to be considered a criminal conspiracy, at least one of the people involved must take some action to follow through on the agreement unless the agreement is to commit a crime. It doesn't matter if the illegal act is the main goal or just a step towards the main goal. For example, John and Mary agree to rob the city's bank. They plan the details and gather supplies for the robbery. This is a criminal conspiracy because John and Mary have agreed to commit an illegal act, and they take steps to carry out their plan by preparing for the robbery. Example 2. Sarah and Tom agree to sell weapons, a legal act, but they decide to do it without a required license, using illegal means. This is also a criminal conspiracy because Sarah and Tom agreed to do something legal, selling weapons, using illegal means, without a license, and they took action for selling weapons. Section 120B. Penalties for criminal conspiracy. 1. If the conspiracy is to commit a serious crime, one that is punishable by death, life imprisonment, or rigorous imprisonment for 2 years or more, and there is no specific punishment mentioned in the law for that conspiracy, the person will be punished as if they had directly helped commit the crime, abetted the crime. 2. If the conspiracy is to commit a less serious crime, the person can be punished with up to 6 months in prison, a fine, or both. Example 1. Alex and his friends plan a kidnapping of a rich child, which is punishable by life imprisonment. They are caught before they can carry it out. Because the conspiracy was to commit a serious crime, Alex and his friends can be punished as if they had helped commit the kidnapping, even though it didn't happen. Example 2. Lisa and Tom agree to deface public property, a less serious crime, and are caught while planning. Since defacing public property is a less serious crime, Lisa and Tom can be punished with up to 6 months in prison, a fine, or both for their involvement in the conspiracy. Section 121. Punishments for war against the state. It means that anyone who wages war against Pakistan, tries to wage war, or helps others wage war, will face the death penalty, life imprisonment, and a fine. For example, John participates in an armed rebellion against the government of Pakistan. By joining the rebellion, John is waging war against the state, which means he can be punished with death, life imprisonment, and a fine. Section 121A. Penalties for conspiracy under Section 121. It means that anyone who plans, either inside or outside Pakistan, to commit crimes against the state, as defined in Section 121, take away any part of Pakistan's territory, or use force to intimidate the government, will be severely punished. They can face imprisonment for life, or 10 years in prison, and a fine. Importantly, just planning these acts is enough for punishment, even if no actions or omissions are taken. Suppose Maria and her associates within Pakistan secretly discuss a plan to declare a region independent from Pakistan, aiming to deprive the country of its territory. Maria and her associates can be punished with life imprisonment or up to 10 years in prison and a fine, even if they don't take any steps to execute their plan, because simply conspiring is enough to constitute the crime. Section 122. Collecting weapons for war against Pakistan. Law states that anyone who gathers people, weapons, or ammunition, or otherwise prepares to wage war against Pakistan, will face life imprisonment or imprisonment for up to 10 years, along with a fine. For example, John stockpiles weapons and recruits a group of people to attack government facilities in Pakistan. John can be sentenced to life imprisonment or up to 10 years in prison, and a fine for preparing to wage war against Pakistan. Section 123. Hiding war plans against Pakistan. This section means that anyone who hides plans to wage war against Pakistan, either by action or by illegal omission, and intends to or knows that their concealment will make it easier to wage war, will face imprisonment for up to 10 years and may also be fined. Sarah discovers documents outlining a planned insurrection against the government but hides them instead of reporting to the police. Sarah can be punished with up to 10 years in prison and a fine for intentionally hiding evidence of the plan to wage war, as her actions facilitate the potential attack against the state. Section 123A. Condemning Pakistan's creation and advocating its abolition. This includes 1. Speaking, writing, or using signs to abuse or condemn the creation of Pakistan. 2. Advocating for the reduction or elimination of Pakistan's sovereignty, whether through merging with neighboring territories or other means. Punishment for this offense can be up to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment and a fine. Additionally, courts have the authority to restrict the person's movements, associations, communications, and activities related to spreading news or opinions during the investigation or trial until the case is resolved. For example, Sarah, within Pakistan, publicly condemns the partition of India that led to Pakistan's creation and calls for parts of Pakistan to join a neighboring state. Sarah faces the same severe penalties, including up to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment and a fine. The court can also limit her movements and communication during the investigation and trial to prevent further influence or propaganda. Section 123B. Defiling or unauthorized removal of Pakistan's national flag. It explains that anyone who deliberately disrespects the national flag of Pakistan, or removes it without permission from a government building, premises, vehicle, or other government property, can be punished. The penalties include up to 3 years in prison, a fine, or both. Suppose Sarah defaces the national flag on a government vehicle during a protest. Sarah can be punished with up to 3 years in prison, a fine, or both for deliberately defiling the national flag on government property. Section 124. Assaulting the president or governor to influence their powers. Anyone who tries to force or intimidate the president of Pakistan or a provincial governor to exercise or not exercise their lawful powers by assaulting, wrongfully restraining, or using threatening criminal force against them, will face punishment of up to 7 years in prison and a fine. For example, John physically restrains the governor of a province to stop him from signing a new law. John can be punished with up to 7 years in prison and a fine for attempting to compel the governor by wrongful restraint. Section 124A. Sedition, inciting hate towards government. Anyone who, through spoken or written words, signs, visible representations, or any other means, tries to stir up hatred, contempt, or disaffection towards the federal or provincial government established by law, will face life imprisonment, imprisonment up to 3 years, fines, or both. Suppose John publishes articles advocating for violent protests against the federal government, aiming to create widespread hatred among the public. John can be sentenced to life imprisonment, or imprisonment up to 3 years, fined, or both for sedition. Section 125. War against powers allied with Pakistan. Anyone who wages war against the government of any country that is in alliance or at peace with Pakistan, attempts to wage such war, or assists in waging such war, will face life imprisonment, or imprisonment for up to 7 years, a fine, or both. Sarah provides logistical support to individuals planning acts of terrorism against a friendly nation, China, that has diplomatic ties with Pakistan. Sarah will face imprisonment for life, or up to 7 years imprisonment, a fine, or a combination thereof. Section 126. Attack on allied territories with Pakistan. Anyone who commits or prepares to commit depredation, an act of attacking or plundering, on the territories of any country that is in alliance or at peace with Pakistan will face imprisonment for up to 7 years, a fine, and the forfeiture of any property used or intended to be used in the depredation. For example, John and his group plan to raid a village in a neighboring state of Azad Kashmir that has a peace treaty with Pakistan. John can be punished with up to 7 years in prison, a fine, and the confiscation of any property used in or gained from the raid for preparing to commit depredation against an allied nation. Section 127. Receiving property taken by war allied territories with Pakistan. Anyone who knowingly receives property taken through the offenses of waging war or committing depredation, as described in sections 125 and 126, will face imprisonment for up to 7 years, a fine, and the forfeiture of the received property. Suppose John buys a valuable item from a criminal, knowing it was stolen during an attack on an allied nation. John can be punished with up to 7 years in prison, a fine, and the confiscation of the stolen item for knowingly receiving property taken through depredation. Section 128. Public servants allowing prisoner escapes. Any public servant who has custody of a state prisoner or prisoner of war and voluntarily allows them to escape from confinement will face life imprisonment of 25 years or imprisonment for up to 10 years and a fine. John, a prison guard, deliberately leaves a cell door unlocked, allowing a prisoner of war to escape. John can be punished with life imprisonment or up to 10 years in prison and a fine for voluntarily allowing a prisoner of war to escape. Section 129. Public servants allowing prisoner escapes through negligence. Any public servant who has custody of a state prisoner or prisoner of war and negligently allows them to escape from confinement will face simple imprisonment for up to 3 years and a fine. Suppose John, a prison guard, forgets to lock the cell door properly, leading to the escape of a prisoner of war. John can be punished with up to 3 years of simple imprisonment and a fine for negligently allowing the prisoner to escape. Section 130. Aiding escape or harboring prisoners of state or war. Anyone who knowingly aids a state prisoner or prisoner of war in escaping from lawful custody, rescues or attempts to rescue such a prisoner, or harbors or conceals an escaped prisoner will face life imprisonment or imprisonment for up to 10 years, along with a fine. For example, Sarah hides a state prisoner who has escaped from custody in her home and resists authorities trying to recapture the prisoner. Sarah faces life imprisonment or up to 10 years in prison and a fine for harboring the escaped prisoner and resisting recapture efforts. Explanation: a state prisoner or prisoner of war who is permitted on his parole within certain limits in Pakistan is said to escape from lawful custody if he goes beyond the limits within which he is allowed. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and comment. Follow for more videos. Take care. See you soon.